What's up, mi gente? Bienvenidos a Pangea Plus. You are listening to 305 Times on this lovely Friday afternoon, September 11th. It's so many emotions on this day. I love looking forward to Fridays and being on air here. So thank you for those that are joining me. But of course, let us never forget what happened 19 years ago in New York City. Of course, the tragedy. And every year, it's just a reflection of how short life really is. Everything people are still going through to this day, in between, the first responders and those that unfortunately lost so many people in that tragedy. So just wanted to take a moment to recognize the day. Besides that, we are stepping into my birthday weekend. I've been bragging along about Virgo season since it started. So I'm like, we always celebrate all month long, and I'm so happy because one of today's guests is also a fellow Virgo who is celebrating this weekend. So it's gonna make the show even better. But this week itself, it's been one to celebrate. The Heat are officially headed to the Eastern Conference Finals. So take out your pots and pans, South Florida, because that's something we have to look forward to. It's been since 2014. So I already registered to be a virtual fan also. I'm trying to come out on the big screen because, I feel like we got to go big now that we can't actually be at the arena or even be outside of the arena due to the pandemic. So if you're interested, go to miamiheat.com and you just search up virtual fan, and it's very easy. They give you like a notice 24 hours in advance and get your Heat shirt ready, pots and pans, and you'll be on that big screen. Hopefully we get to celebrate a championship this year. We're going to keep that positive energy throughout the entire finals. And on that note, I also wanted to give a quick shout out to the women in media, because this past week I've been coming across a few headlines where we are breaking barriers really here in what is sports, the professional sports, and one of those, Doris Burke, who's been around forever as a sports commentator, she is going to be making NBA Finals history by serving in this year's finals on ESPN Radio, becoming the first woman to do so for the finals on any platform. And that to me alone is it's pretty impressive because, one, I mean, she's a woman, of course, and she's representing us in the media, but I can't believe it's been this long also. Radio has been along for how many years? And to be the first woman to do so on such a big game like the finals are. So shout out to Doris Burke, and also Marjorie Acosta, better known as MJ Acosta. She is also a sports commentator, and she's now the first Afro-Latina to host a show on NFL Network, which will be NFL Total Access. So there we are, Latinas, women in general over here making headlines and showing everyone how it's truly done. And, I like to surround myself by that good energy. So I have two amazing women who I just met, but we've been having a great conversation off air so far, and I want to give them the warm welcome here to 305 Times. Joining me this afternoon from Miami Community Fridge and Buddy System Organization, Jessica Gutierrez and Fania Celestine. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Blessings, guys.
You guys look great. They keep looking at the camera.
I'm like,
we're trying to figure out, we look at you, we look at the camera.
No, girl, look at me. That's actually the camera that you are in front of.
Okay.
So if you want to stare at the camera, give them a message later on, then that's that. But
Okay.
Welcome to 305
Thank
Times.
you.
Jessica, I know you have a flight to catch later, so I appreciate you.
She's a woman on the go.
She's got her bags, her travel bag ready to go, and that's very much appreciated. So for those that haven't heard of these community fridges popping up here in South Florida, I've mentioned it a few times and reposted on my story because I think it's such a great initiative, especially during this time. Always, unfortunately, it's just one of those big topics, hunger and unemployment and things like that, but even now, even more during a pandemic, this initiative that you began. So talk to me a little bit about Miami Community Fridge and what the story behind it is.
yeah. So actually, we started the buddy system with a volunteer placement program. It just started like that in March. And it was after a phone call with the other co-founder, Kristen Guerin. We were just, kind of venting, talking about what the next few months were going to look like, not even knowing what it was going to look like, and thinking about those folks who really don't have community, you know, within our community. There are so many people that just don't have family members who are older, like, et cetera, et cetera. And Kristen and I were just having a conversation simply about that. And she was like, wow, like, why don't we do something about this? And that's when I said, I am in, let's organize. And it began just simply being a volunteer placement program to pair up buddies, that's what we call them, which include folks who, in the beginning, it was immunocompromised, elderly people, with volunteers in their neighborhood to go out and do errands for them, for them to have a less risk of getting COVID, right? And since March, it has evolved to the needs of the community, and now here we are putting up community fridges all over Miami. So we've come, it's molded, evolved, we've done so many things for the South Florida community during the pandemic, and this is probably one of my favorite projects, and I'm so grateful to have this beautiful woman to be part of that journey with me. So it's been an honor. Honestly, I
slid into her DMs.
Yeah.
It was like that.
It was like that. I slid into her DMs.
So, yeah. Jessica, you're the co-founder of Buddy System.
Yes, with Kristen Guerin.
With Kristen. And then you all came up with Miami Community Fridges. And you, Fania, you started as a volunteer.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct. I started as a volunteer with the Green Haven Project, which is a community garden in Overtown. I've been on and off assisting and volunteering with them for the past 2 years, and I've been more of an advocate for food, and just for my own journey of healing and finding ways to heal myself through food. And one of my good friends sent me a fridge in New York City, and that's where it started with Thaddeus from IONC NYC. Yeah. And I slid into his DMs, and I contacted him and to try to figure out how to do it. And it became a little overwhelming, especially with the new laws that the city of Miami was starting to put on volunteering and feeding the homeless. So I came across a mutual friend of ours, posted it on their social media, and I was like, you know what, let me like slide and say like, hey, look, I've been trying to do this as well. How can I help you guys? Mm-hmm. And so Jess responded to me, and then we formed a group chat. And just within that first week, we formed the group chat. The next day, me and our partner, Vanessa, found several locations. And that's where our first one, like after that week conversation of that group, like the next week, we were able to put a fridge in Overtown.
Wow. Yeah. Everything just started falling into place.
Yeah. Exactly. Because it was just aligned. Like the mutual aid, it was just for us all the 6 of us all coming together just to be able in alignment. It just showed like when you are in alignment with your purpose is, even this, like, because I think people think that you have only one purpose, but your multiple purpose in this situation for us, it was this purpose of finding mutual aid within the community and knowing that the community could be able to help themselves. Right. And so putting that into Overtown and now Richmond Heights, which is like
our second location was open yesterday.
Awesome. Yeah, when I saw the Richmond Heights, I'm like, oh, that's great, because unfortunately there's so many neighborhoods that are affected and that need the food. So it's great that you guys slowly but surely are getting to spread yourself around South Florida. Right. You mentioned, Fania, the city of Miami has some guidelines when it comes to feeding the homeless.
Yeah, so when I started, so when did I contact you? It had to have been like, June?
Yeah.
There was somebody else that Thaddeus told me that was trying to do a community fridge. And at that time, the city of Miami implemented that you cannot feed the homeless if it's more than 25 people. They put in an ordinance. You need to get a permit to feed the homeless if it's more than 25 people. So there's a lot of there's a lot of grassroots companies or grassroots organizations that have been going into, the parts of Miami, like downtown Miami, especially, like where the wharf is.
Yes.
There's like a bridge in that area where a lot of the homeless stays, and a lot of groups have been going and feeding the homeless there. And since that's the city of Miami, they approved it because there was only, when I was listening to the meeting, only a few people came to advocate, and it was I think it was like 6-1 or 5-1 who approved it, and it's to make some money.
It's also like a continual criminalization of people in our community. Like, why already folks who are houseless have like multiple layers of challenges, and this one just put another one, you know? So I love the Community Fridge Project because it's basically, for me, it's been like the most sustainable way to support the community in the long term. While we were in the pandemic, the buddy system started organizing food distributions for the population that we were serving in our network. The reason we had to do that was because the food distributions by the city were taking our volunteers like 5 hours to be able, or 4. Like, people were waking up really early to get to line up in these churches to get food. And like for me, I was like, you know, someone who's already gonna go pick up food for someone who's in need, I don't want my volunteers to have to go through like 4 hours of waiting. So that's when we started, like, I just adapted. I was like, okay, let's just start organizing our own ones, you know? And it just makes you realize that, like, the need is there, you know? If the city is hosting food distributions and there are thousands of, like, so many cars.
Thousands, like millions of people throughout South Florida that are standing in these lines for hours. Because I volunteered at one. I volunteered at a several one in Homestead, and we were blessed to be able to feed like 1,000 people, and that was just one
cars,
location.
Right?
And even in the cars, you're not feeding just one family, because you can be able to feed several families in one car. You just have to, like, the cars have to just register in advance. And for the fact that these places are doing this, and there's permits that you have to create to be able to feed all these people who are in need, is it's a fascinating world that we live in.
You know, it's also interesting because I feel like, listen, like, a lot of people didn't expect the financial hit. So we don't only serve the homeless. No, we're serving a lot. It was like, it started immunocompromised folks. It started like elderly people. But now we're like seeing people, documented folks that didn't qualify for that government service. But now we're also seeing folks just like you and I who weren't ready for the financial hit. So that's been also like something that I'm like, wow, it's literally, this fridge is serving so many community members. That is why it's doing so well, you know? So I'm excited to continue, like,
I wanted to point out some numbers, which you actually sent to me, mentioning 1 in 6 South Florida households are currently struggling with food insecurity, and 18.6% of residents in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach reported that sometimes or often they don't have enough to eat. And, you know, that was another thing to, you know, students aren't going to school either. I also read that so many of these students depend on that meal from school. The meal that a lot of us took for granted, that we'd, you know, kind of say this isn't good, and so many kids look forward to that meal. So, you know, it's another reason. And also just in general, the unemployment claims, like you mentioned, there's so many of us that weren't expecting, you know, right now everything is, if you have a job, no matter what job it is, it's a blessing. It truly is, because the numbers that we've been seeing, and although the unemployment claims have been declining throughout the last week, now that things are reopening and things like that, you know, it's still more than 36,000 unemployed people here in Florida that are affected by this, and almost 30 million Americans that are still receiving unemployment benefits in the country. So that goes to show you how much has changed, and how I guess how this has affected everyone in general when it comes to food. I mean, food is expensive, period.
Like, it shouldn't be.
It should not.
It's so like, especially with vegetation. Like, all of us come from any, like, just Caribbean households, or just for the fact of the way that, like, our ancestors just grew up on vegetation, and how we were able to grow our own foods, and now we're completely disconnected of that. And when you go into the supermarkets, that you spend so much money on just vegetation, and then it's cheaper to buy canned foods. And it's just, it's a lot of people are becoming awake to that, but a lot of people just don't know, because again, it's whatever is easier for you to obtain, whatever easy, especially for the fact that a lot of the people are not working. They're just trying to make their next meal something really, really quick, so that their children or they can eat. And then we're having all of these people who have diabetes, or who have all these heart problems and high cholesterol and all these things, because they're eating food that is not natural and it's not healing to the body.
I think also just like being able to take that stress out, and like there's still other bills we have, right? So like if we can just remove one little bit of stressor, whether that's like one milk carton or one milk box or whatever the heck, and a carton of eggs, that's like $12 or $10 or $5 that you're saving that you can put to something else. So it's also like we're not the answer to it all. We're just like a relief of some sort of financial, And I want to talk about really quick, because you guys mentioned it, it's like the need is so there that I would have a volunteer, and one of our buddies, this is a case of a mom who didn't have enough of funds, that we had a volunteer pick up her children's school lunch, because the Miami-Dade school public schools were doing that. She would pick up the school lunch every day. I had a volunteer who literally took every single day of her week to pick up the school lunches for a family of 3 kids, because the mother didn't have a car.
That's another thing. I mean, unfortunately, these drive-through the food distributions are great, but there's so many people that you have to stay in the car now because of the pandemic.
Exactly.
You have to bring it out of the trunk. There's no contact whatsoever. But what about those people that don't have?
And those people who don't have a car just have other layers of challenges and issues. That is why we have, like, Buddy System has created so many different things. Like, if you don't have a car, you have more financial issues, right? You're probably having to navigate very complicated systems, and that's what I've seen. That's why we started our Immigration Legal Aid Fund, where we're supporting folks who are trying to get their papers with some sort of funding and pro bono lawyer services. Like, that is why we're like trying to make these connections, because we became a hub of information for the South Florida community in the pandemic, just because, like, when you realize that people have issues with just food, you start seeing other layers, Yes. So it's been interesting.
And that all falls under Buddy System,
yeah,
the nonprofit that you all have. So how can we get involved? I want to know, for starters, the first one was the one in Overtown, the refrigerator.
Yes.
How did that come about, actually getting into the Harb's food store?
I just walked into the store. I just walked into. I was like, I'm gonna go to Overtown, and this is the area that I go to when I come to go to the community garden. And I was like, let me just go into this one store. At first, I walked by the store, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go in. I'm going to go in. And I was just like this, talking to myself, and I was just like, oh, can I speak to the owner? And the owner, Chris, first he was just like, what are you trying to do? I was like, here's a flyer. This is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I was
going to
say, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to put a fridge for food? Free? Yeah, just do it. You can do whatever you need, whatever you need.
It's so easy.
He made it super easy for us to put this first fridge in.
Once I got Fania on board, and like we aligned with our vision. She was like, she advocated for the Overtown community. Shout out to you. And literally, we're like, let's create a pamphlet. Like, Kristen Guerin, my co-founder, and I were like, let's create a pamphlet with all the information. Like, what is Buddy System? What have we been doing? What is a community fridge? We literally attached like articles of community fridges around the United States, because we are seeing it in New York, where it started, in Brooklyn, all over the boroughs. We're seeing it in Los Angeles, we're seeing it in Chicago, and now, like, we have in Miami, we have 3 currently. So it's like, we were like, let's just show these people that, what are their incentives? We even like made a list of like incentives for these businesses, and then we split it. I like gave flyers. We like,
in different areas of Miami, we were able to get flyers to be able to go, just not in like South Dade, but in in Coral Gables, Coral Way area, and then further up, and we potentially might have one in Broward.
Yeah,
so I'm really excited.
Yeah.
So,
we're like in Little Havana too.
So it's a group effort, and it's really based off of the owners of the shop and how willing they are welcome. Because that's another way that you can help. If you're an owner and you want to host a fridge in an area that's more in walking distance for people in the surrounding areas, you can do that. You can also financially donate at BuddySystemMIA.com, as well as volunteer. Yeah. You can come and just volunteer. You can help either clean, advocate for a fridge, stock, donate, find other locations, whatever you choose that you want to do, you can choose to do
and
it.
Also, like, the beautiful thing about Buddy System is that it's all volunteer run, and everyone has donated their services. Like we had someone a volunteer make our website. We had another volunteer. So it's like, don't limit yourself. Everybody has it really takes a village, and everybody has like, what are you good at?
There's a lot that goes behind the scenes. I mean, it's not just setting up a fridge.
No, it's a lot.
It's time consuming.
It was fun. It's so fun.
Yeah,
it's fun to like.
One thing that we mentioned the other day was that both of the fridges are painted by women.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Like,
because
both of the fridges are painted by women, and both of these artists, Natalie
and Vanessa,
are incredible artists. And for the fact that they both were able to create these two fridges with these beautiful paintings on both of them, it was... For yesterday's opening was really beautiful to see, because seeing Miss Williams, which is the owner of Williams Grocery Store, which is where the second in the Richmond Heights, I watched her face light up when she saw the fridge, and I watched her face light up with all of the words, like it said Richmond Heights Community Fridge. Like, she was just so honored and humbled just to be able to host this fridge, and it was... For these two women to paint these things for the community, it made me tear up, because I was just like, this is everything that we've been trying to do. And for the fact that just the person in this community that is hosting this, like, she was so
much for the community.
She was so honored. She was just so honored and so humble to have it. And with Vanessa and Nat being able to do this, it just brings a little life.
It's empowering.
It keeps you going,
because it's like organizing this has been so beautiful. I've done it amongst women. Like, we have Kelly, who's like our project manager. We had Vanessa, who's like one of the scouts. Like, she found the Richmond location, just like Fania found the Overtown location. So it's like being in these spaces with all these women and organizing these and like creating magic for the community has been like one of my favorite parts. Like, we all align and we're all like, okay, this is our goal. Like, how are we gonna make it happen? And it's been so beautiful to see how unstoppable like we have been.
As women are.
Yeah,
it's true. The first fridge, it's been up for a month already, or
a little over a month and a half.
A little over a month, and you already have the second one.
Yes.
And what I love about the artwork, now that we were talking about it, I mean, besides the beautiful colors you guys use, but it draws attention.
Yeah.
Like, what's that fridge with? And you guys have it, the free food displayed in both English, Spanish, Creole.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like what's more welcoming, and
Miami,
that's what South Florida is about.
The melting pot of all the different cultures.
Yeah, and uniting everyone throughout this. That's like another thing. Like, we're in this together. Like, we're not separate in this fight of like what we're going through. Like, that's been my intention, this whole buddy system, is like letting people know that we're powerful. We go farther when we unite, And I love the motto of the fridge is like, take what you need, leave what you can, So maybe you have something like carrots, and like you're not gonna use this, but like you need some like milk, like switch it out. Like sometimes like there are like it's for the community, by the community. Like, we get to support each other, So
exactly. A lot of people are going out of town. I feel like so many people throw away food for no reason.
Food waste is huge. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and also restaurants. I mean, restaurants do this all the time.
Yeah, during this time, a lot of restaurants. That's where a lot of food distribution got their food from.
Yes,
was from the restaurants, wholesalers, and things like that. They were able to donate because a lot of food was going out to waste.
Yeah, which is why we had to get our organization 501(c) status, was because like these food distributors like only give to organizations, and we were like, wow, we're like limiting ourselves. Let's just get our organizations, that way we like qualify for these like big food donations, so we can host our own like distributions.
So I want how can people donate? I mean, if you don't live here in South Florida, but you still want to help out, you mentioned it a bit earlier, but what other ways do you guys offer for the community to get involved? So
we have a Cash App. It's Buddy System MIA. And we also, I would say, head to our website, www.buddysystemmia.com.
Or the Instagram.
You can go on our Instagram at Buddy System MIA as well. And all of these places, you'll find our Cash App, and as well as our PayPal. And you can get tax deductible in those two as well. So, you can just head there.
And you guys are filling it up. I know you guys are filling it up yourselves as well with the money that's happening.
Yeah.
How often have you been having to go that you've been seeing, the fridge actually empty, and, that it's paying off everything you're doing?
In Overtown, it was every day or every other day. Wow. The fridge was empty. And with the volunteers that we have coming in and people coming in and out, because I think the Overtown location is a more central location.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people can just go in and out and just donate what they can. Like, when we went by there on Sunday, and this man, he was just like, this is all this food I have, and I don't want it to go to waste. So, I mean, he had like 3 bags of food that he donated in that one time. Yeah. On Sunday, I forgot to tell you. Yeah.
I went like 2 days ago, and it was starting, and the day before it was full, and it was the day after that I went to visit, it was already gone. So what we're learning, and it's like in every location it's going to be different. We're going to have to adapt, but in the Overtown it's being like really used, and like it's so cool to see how like the community is really like engaging with it,
especially where the Overtown is, like the grocery store where Harba food store is. It's right underneath the apartment complex.
Okay.
So within that apartment complex, a lot of people from there are coming to the store, and then a lot of people within the surrounding areas are also coming into the store.
So it's right there in the middle of everywhere. And I always emphasize this because, you know, Miami, we're one of the largest cities, and just the tourism, there's so much that goes on, but a lot of people, you know, seem to forget the smaller communities. Yeah, let's go to Wynwood. We're in Miami. Let's go to the Art District, Design District, all these things. But, you know,
the people
2 blocks away, there are people that are starving, unfortunately. It's the sad reality, and so Overtown is a great location, I think.
Yeah, because it's right next to Wynwood.
And exactly,
or Wynwood encroached.
Overtown. You know, drop off some food before you head to Wynwood.
Straight up.
It's the best thing because
or buy food from Harba food stores or William grocery store.
Yeah,
if you're in that area, support the local businesses, because again, our local
businesses. These are local bodegas in our city that are still thriving even in the pandemic. Like, shout out to Chris from Harba. Shout out to Miss Williams from Williams Groceries. These are our mom and pops that like many of us didn't even know existed until these food distributions. And I just think that like, yeah, cool, Publix and Sedano's and all of these people, these big corporations are great, but like the beautiful thing about like these small mom and pops is that like, hey, like these are business like folks in our community that we get to also support. And like, I don't know, like for me, I'm like, yes, like it's a different energy when you walk in there, you know?
Also, they've been the ones sustaining the community.
Yeah.
Because think about like all of the grocery stores that chose not to be either politically or financially chose not to be in these areas. These small bodegas, these small grocery stores are the ones that are sustaining the community. Like the Williams grocery store, like if you look into her grocery store, she has a lot of whole foods and whole products for her consumers to use. And it's like these places, it's so far away from a Publix or a Sedano's or a Presidente.
Yeah.
And so it's these small grocery stores and small communities and small little bodegas that we have in our city that are the ones that are helping. They're actually the ones that are helping the community.
Their own people.
Exactly.
It's true. We're all in this together, and I always think, yeah, the mom and pop shops are the first that we need to be helping out during a pandemic.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about becoming a 501c, is it?
501c3 status, which is just becoming an organization. Yeah.
I wanted to speak a little bit about that because, you know, it's great that we're seeing so many people come together. Fania, I mean, you were one that wanted to help out and to, you know, just be more involved in our communities. How do you become
So a funny thing about this whole experience is the fact that like this is not my realm. I have learned to become a social worker through Google. I have learned to open a nonprofit because of Google. Literally,
Google and YouTube
nothing is impossible. Our phones, this is pure knowledge. Like me between our vice president, Eric Trope, another love that person, and Kristen Guerin, we've literally just Googled everything. And I know that sounds like really funny, but yeah, we Googled everything, and thankfully we met a lot of people who have helped us in the journey, other nonprofits and other people that we've collaborated with when we weren't a nonprofit. We didn't qualify for, like, for example, Farm Share, which they donate a bunch of food to organizations. Pallets of food, right? We collaborated with One Child, which shout out to them as well. They Crossbridge Church in, I think that's in the like Brickell area. They connected us to One Child, and One Child has helped us. Like everyone in that realm has helped us with our journey to become a nonprofit, and just giving us advice. You know, I reached out to so many friends. Like everything has been also through social media, just like reaching out to people, like just like you reached out to me through there. Like I've reached out to folks that I know who have a nonprofit and asked for advice, you know, and yeah, it's been a journey. It took a minute, but we ended up getting approved, and that was like such a celebration. Like we're like, cool, now we can qualify for bigger opportunities, open ourselves up for bigger donations, you know. And like it's been so I didn't think that we were gonna end up being like that, but I'm like, this is amazing. Like cool, let's keep going. Let's see how far we can take
fully
this.
created a foundation during the
Yeah, a
pandemic.
non-profit, right?
A whole non-profit.
Not even like, only because we had to too, you know? Like,
a whole grassroots organization you created within the past 6 months.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you recently moved to New York?
So my partner ended up getting a job. He is a pediatrician, and he ended up getting a job over there. And it was weird because I was like, well, something really big is going for me in this in my community that I've lived here all my life. I've never left, and it was like kind of like, what do I do? But I want to say like it was the best decision I've made, because New York, I've been there for 2 months. I live in the Bronx. What's up? Shout out to the Bronx. And I feel like it's already taught me so much. Like the reason why I was like, I need to bring this community fridge to my community was because I was walking down my block in the Bronx and I saw the Bedford community fridge, and the person who started it, Ashley, was there at the moment. Like those are like the life things that you're like synchronized.
Yeah.
And she's like, she basically was like, she gave me the plug. Like, she's like, this, and this. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm bringing this to my community in Miami. And I've learned another funny thing is that this whole pandemic, we've done everything abroad. Like, we, like, from, like, how do we explain it? Like, through computers, through the digital world.
Yeah.
Everything has been digital. Besides the organizing the food distributions, which I was here all, like, throughout the summer. In July, we had our last one, and then I moved to Bronx, and we were like, let's not do food distributions anymore. Let's find a more sustainable option. And then I'm walking 2 days later after our last food distributions. I'm in my new neighborhood. I'm walking down the street, and I see the community fridge.
There it is.
And I'm like, that's why I have to be here. This is why I'm in New York. New York is ahead of its times. It be doing things before everybody else, and like, it's just fascinating to me. Like, just the way there's so many social services for the community there that I'm like, this is I want to bring so much back to Miami. So I feel like I'm gonna be there for like 2 years, around there, 2.5 maybe 3, and I'm like, I can't wait. Like, I've been doing anything abroad. I have the most amazing team.
You have a great
here in Miami,
team here that you trust.
And I'm like, yo, anytime I find something, I'm like, all right, like, y'all ready for the next project? Like, you know, there's so much there that you can learn from. So.
And to this knowledge that I found out, I think it started in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's been doing the community fridge way before the pandemic.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for years.
Theaters, yeah.
And it's been happening, and it's been moving, and it's been helping the community in Brooklyn for years.
And they've been able to put it in way more boroughs because it's worked there. That like they've like.
And he started out of his house, out of his apartment.
Wow. He
plugged it in his apartment. And he saw, like, he was able to hear and see the community, like, take some, take a little too much, not take some, leave some, and just, like, see how it's grown and seeing how the community itself has thrived from just having this one fridge in his, downstairs of his apartment.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's really beautiful to see this human being be able to create something that has now spread with our
like
organization.
Wildfire.
Yeah.
Everywhere
and
in the
it's because
US,
it's from all the way from LA.
Yeah.
To the East Coast of Florida.
Yeah, it's insane.
Miami.
I know. I'm like, every city needs to pick up on this because it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Homelessness
it's so
and
beautiful.
That's great that you guys have all come together. I wanted you mentioned you were born and raised here in Miami.
Yeah. So I was raised in Miami, but I was born in Canada because my parents were escaping like the Castro regime. So
okay,
so everybody had to go somewhere first. And like, it's funny because I don't know anything about Canada, so I'm not Canadian. I am Canadian, but I'm Miamian, you know.
Of course.
So like, it's all weird. I'm like, okay, like, I'm actually Miamian.
And you?
I was born in Brooklyn.
Oh, of
there
course.
You go.
And my parents moved to Brooklyn from Haiti. Just to find a better life and just a better way in the States. And then it was way too cold. We moved from Brooklyn to Miami. And also just to be able to go back to Haiti more often. So I was born in Brooklyn but raised in Miami. Like, I was talking to my friend recently, and I was just like, Miami raised me. Like,
Miami
I can't even
raised me.
It's like you can hear in my accent. Like, I have like the Haitian accent. I have a little, the Miami twang, like the like and all that. Like,
bro.
All that. So I appreciate this. I think growing up here, because it's very similar to people like friends that I've seen that have grown up in the cities of New York. They have more aspects of like colonization there. With Miami, we have that here too, but it was like you can just drive 30 minutes to go to different countries. And it was such a beautiful way where, like, I know with New York you have to go to different boroughs to go to different countries, but with Miami, for me, I loved it so much because 30 minutes you can be in Little Haiti, 30 minutes you can be in Little Havana, 30 minutes Doral you can be in Little Venezuela.
Yeah,
like all of these things that you can go to. Like it's amazing and sometimes sad to see how Miami has grown and how it's growing and how the people are. The actual community, not the out-of-towners, but the actual people in the community who are trying to make this city as beautiful as it is, as magical, as spirited, as soulful as it is. It's just a beautiful place to grow up in. Like, I'm not going to negate it. And again, the weather is hot.
Fabulous. It's
It's hot,
fabulous.
I'm not gonna lie. But it's nice.
Yeah.
Compared to that cold, because you're about to
I'm
have
scared.
your
I've never
first
seen.
winter.
I saw snow one time in my life. I'm terrified.
You're about to have your first winter.
I'm not.
New York was actually my last trip this year. It was in January, like before everything
it's
happened.
cold.
Yeah, one of my best
Wow.
friends now she's living here again, but she works over there, so she was living in Queens, and we got to see snow. Also, that was my first time seeing snow in New York. I had seen it one other time, but. In New York, I was a little bit different just because I'm like, I've been here so many times that it's never snowed.
No,
and
I'm scared.
Yeah, bundle up, girl.
Please,
Us Miamians, we do not do well with the
don't
cold.
understand.
Fleece. All
Yeah.
you need is fleece. You just need a layer. Once you
Yeah.
layer, you'll be fine. Because then you can take things off.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see.
One thing that I noticed that we all have in common is we all come from, immigrant families. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about living in South Florida is that that's one of the ways that we all relate. Me, fortunately enough, I was born and mostly raised here in Miami. I lived a few years in Colombia, but I feel like, thankfully I didn't have to struggle. Like there was always a plate
Of food,
of
right.
food for me. I had a roof over my head. But still seeing that other people around me, communities, sometimes we have friends and family that we don't even realize what they're really going through. So I think that's where we all kind of come together in this and want to help out and somehow get involved and, whether it's donating in person or donating some money, whatever you can to actually help out. So it's great what you ladies are doing, and I hope it goes a long way and that we get to see a lot more of these around our communities. I wanted to get off topic a little bit. Jessica, I noticed you are also involved with Out of Service.
Yeah. Actually, she's here. She's over there waiting for me. She was my chauffeur today, Daniela Molina.
God. That is, I didn't know exactly what role you had, but I was like, if you don't know about Out of Service, they're a female-run reggaeton perreo party, very well known here in South Florida, and I'll take that over a club any day.
100%. Yes. So Daniela Molina, it's so funny. I want her to listen to this right now. But basically, we just had more fun. Like, it all started because we were on our way to parties in Miami, and we just had more fun on the way with our music, than at the actual event.
The pre-gaming,
So we were like, why don't we bring this energy to everyone else that's dope in Miami? Because if you're going to El Perreo, if you've been once, you dope. I just feel like automatically ya me caes bien, and no, it's the most liberating, safer space that I've found. Yeah.
I mean, not only is it fun, but I love how, my big thing with Out of Service, I'd always be like, oh my God, you're throwing a party this day, RSVP now, because that was me sending it to my group chat of my girls.
Yeah.
But not only that, but you guys have always been so, inclusive with everything, with the LGBTQ community, I mean, Latinos,
so many, with so many of our
women
queer,
in general.
our queer friends. I'm queer as well. So, for sure, we were we just wanted to create a space that Miami kind of didn't exist, where everyone's just respected, everyone's mutually accepted, everyone feels safer, so it's been really cool. We really love that everyone, we want everyone to feel like the main character, that's the goal.
I think for me being with Buddy System and continue to, I've been to one party, El Perreo. El Perreo. Party, and just seeing how everybody was reacting to the DJs, reacting to the people, reacting to Daniela, Coffin Text amazing, yes. Yeah. Just the vibe that took place, and just everybody just enjoying and twerking and shaking and just having
I love it.
Alcohol thrown.
And I do I'm
amazing.
the community. I do anything with community service. So since when I saw that it was getting filled, and I was like, Daniela, this is the most beautiful thing. Like, since day one, I've supported it. I was like, we need every single person I saw in that party, I was like, if only y'all donated $1 to the community, what can we do? I saw all these bodies, and I said, money.
$1, yeah.
Because she didn't charge cover until like 2 perreos ago, you know?
2 perreos ago.
Literally, I'm like, well, and I think it's great, but because she's like, I wouldn't pay a cover somewhere, so like, why am I gonna make a party that does? And I'm like, I feel you. Now if you RSVP, you're good, but if you don't, so it's your fault. Like, if you don't, you have like a $10 cover, which is not even bad. I feel like I would charge more because it's such an amazing like experience, and also because I'm always like, we can donate a portion to the community, and I feel like that's the kind of what I've done with Out of Service is created ways to like support the community. So I sat down with my best friend, and I was like, all right, we're gonna start. So many people come to us and they're like, how do we dance like this? So I was like, well, we're gonna charge people to learn how to dance like this. We're gonna teach them about the roots because sin gente negra no hay reggaeton, right?
That's right.
Let's teach them about the roots of Perreo, which are in African culture. Let's educate people. This is not ours, you know. So like, beats. Right, and like we wanted to like ceremony behind we wanted to create a safe space where we teach people, educate that this is not ours, that this is a holy, sacred type of dancing.
Safe space.
Safe space.
Plus, you can loosen up your sacral chakra and let go of all that bad energy that you had.
That part. I feel liberated, and it makes sense.
I never made it to one of because I mean, besides the party, you all were hosting, you know, the Perreo master classes itself. I'm like, I never made it. I always be like, I want to go, you know, scheduling wise, I couldn't. But I'm like, the parties itself, I mean, the calories they're burning, everything is just like.
It's a good time.
It's a spiritual experience. Like me being there that one time, I just saw so many people just liberated in that moment.
That energy.
In those few hours, they were able to be their free, true selves. And I think that's what we all just truly want in our everyday lives. And without a service giving these parties, it was just a beautiful thing to experience and to witness.
Yeah. So
no judgment zone.
Class, awesome. If you can catch one. We're actually having a Perreoton, so keep an eye out.
Perreoton, yes.
Is
that virtual?
It's going to be virtual.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all going to go to, we're all donating all the proceeds. So keep an eye out. I'm going to just put a little nugget. Keep an eye out.
That's our Out of Service MIA.
Yeah, Out of Service MIA.
The handle, everything. I mean, I've loved it. What has always caught my attention.
Genius.
Yes. I'm like, how do they come up with these ideas?
It's
you guys
her.
had like the youth fair theme.
It's her.
Perreo College.
Miami-Dade, like growing up in Miami-Dade, like old school Miami-Dade. Wait, that one I was just like, what is this? This is amazing.
She is a creative genius, okay? I'm not kidding. She comes up with this. Like, yes, she has a team of us to like help her like swing ideas here and there. We create names for the drinks, but she is like, something I'm like, I'm in awe. Like, I'm like, you really have
I would have not thought, like, how do you make Pollo Tropical into a party?
And bring yuca bites.
I was one of those.
And repartírselo a todo el mundo. Like, I'm shook.
If there's food at a party,
for free,
I'll be
the best ones.
I'll be there.
Yes.
You're gonna feed me and give me this? This is too good.
I'm gonna get drunk.
Yeah, the main character. We are the main character. Everybody is.
Oh my god, I'm hoping for us to be able to go out and do that again.
Oh, that's gonna be our New Year's party.
There's a party happening, a drive-in DJ party happening soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't exactly know where, but it's happening soon. I think it was on the Miami New Times.
That's gonna be crazy.
That is very interesting.
Move like dance party.
Oh my god, in the car?
Like in your car?
Oh, that's fun.
So it's gonna be a DJ. I think it's gonna be a DJ, and then you can like, you know how like with drive-in movie theaters, you put it at a certain station. I think they're gonna have a certain station to the DJ.
And everybody in their cars.
And everybody in the cars.
That's a genius idea.
I love that idea.
Yeah. At this point, we're desperate. Anything.
Yeah.
Ponme en el carro, que bailo, te meneo en el techo del carro.
And especially for the fact that there's no Art Basel this year. I'm so sad for that. I've been doing Art Basel for 11 years. Like, I'm into the art scene, and for that there's no Art Basel, like, everything's online. That's amazing and great, but it's not even about.
It's not the same.
It's not, because it's more of the meeting the artist in person, seeing why they created it, seeing other art connoisseurs who are
also,
into
the financial. That's a week for so many people to make money in Miami. So yeah, I definitely feel like that's gonna suck for those artists, because like
I don't think so. I think people are gonna be very creative and figure out a way.
I love that. I think 100%. Yeah, but I was just thinking like, damn, that's another economic hit. That you're like, damn, I worked Art Basel and that shit. It's good.
I mean, it's all always
good money.
it's always packed of people that come in.
From all over the
from
world.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, between celebrities, just other people like yourself that just enjoy the art and the story behind it. So it sucks, but I do think it's like the best way right now because
this is the reality, and like it's okay. It's gonna be good. Like,
I think with what, to be honest, I'm grateful for the pandemic sucked, but I'm grateful for it because it showed people being able to come together and like really, really humanize our experience, because it wasn't just like one community going through this. We all as a world, like the world was going through this. And it really, really brought us together, where there's so many grassroots organizations that came together. There's so many people that came together to just find ways to heal each other and hold each other accountable.
So many, like, everybody is going to come out of this change. Like, I feel like
everybody.
I mean, I feel like I'm projecting.
Small
I was
percentage.
like, you are. I'm the optimistic person.
I'm projecting completely. I take that to the heart. But like, I feel like I'm like, wow, I cannot imagine living my life the same way. Like, there's just so many lessons from this. From this experience.
Yeah, we've all have to take in a little something from it, no matter how we've dealt with it. The first few months might have been a little bit harder, but I mean, as long as we finish out strong and hopefully we can change that mentality, make it more positive.
Like 2020, I don't know, 3, hopefully.
I don't know. But I'm like, let me just try to keep on taking it one day at a time and keep on going for now.
So one thing I'm going to say is that 10 years ago, in 2010, this is when like Twitter became more popular, Facebook and Instagram became popular. So think about what's gonna come on in the next 20 years after 2020.
Yeah.
Like, and just with us, just the three of us here and all the listeners, like, what is it that, it's not even pressure, it's just like your creativity. What can you create within the next 10 years that can be just as magical as those companies?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Something to look out for and stay hopeful for. I did want to offer some other resources for those that, you know, are in need or struggling or looking for other type of food resource besides the community fridges. Like you mentioned, both Miami-Dade and Broward County Public Schools are still offering free meals through children and anyone under 18, really, up until December 31st. They extended the summer meals flexibility waiver for all children, and they're already providing free breakfast to students, but with this federal aid, they'll allow schools to serve free breakfast, lunch to the children all up until December. For Miami-Dade County Public Schools, you also have grab-and-go breakfast and lunch where you can pick up between Tuesdays and Thursdays between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. And Broward County Public Schools is Tuesdays and Thursdays between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. Where you guys have that option. Adults are even welcome to purchase meals for only $1.80 and $2.75 per lunch. So there's definitely, the help is out there. We just gotta unfortunately take advantage of that during these times and somehow make it work. Keep pushing, ladies. You guys, what you're doing is great.
Also, I was gonna say, Feeding South Florida, you can find your local pantry. So call 311.
They'll give you all the answers.
They will find you the local pantry. And anybody can go there for free.
Feeding South Florida, and like you mentioned, Farm Share, if you go on their website, they'll have all the distribution dates, locations, times, and it's always best to get there early because we have seen so many lines.
As well as the Green Haven Project, they also do food distribution at the community garden, which is in Overtown. This is at 1160 Northwest 2nd Avenue. It's not too far from the Harba food store, so if you want to either volunteer or if you look on their Instagram, which is green.haven.project, they're always posting when they're doing their next food distribution.
Great. Ladies, thank you so much. Any last minute words you would like to share? How can people volunteer? Because I feel like out of this, there's going to be a lot more people that would want to join and help out. And even if it's by donating a fridge or
you definitely can. So just head to our website, www.buddysystemmia.com, and you can fill out a volunteer form. You're going to sign a waiver, and then you can pick your pizza toppings. Like, what is it that you're most interested in? So what if you want to advocate for an undocumented person, or if you want to volunteer for the community fridge, or if you want to, there's so many different ways that you can help do groceries for like an elderly person. You pick your pizza toppings, and then we will call you if there's someone in your area that's in need. So.
Great, Fania. Thank you so much. I know we got to give a quick shout out to your podcast too, because girl, we all doing this together.
So I have a podcast with my cousins. My partner is Soraya. It's called Ippy That's It. It's basically going through the first generation Haitian American experience, but just first generation experience in total, like the patterns, different things that have affected us. You can find us anywhere on all platforms at EPI, which is EPI, DATS, DATS, it. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere.
Plug your IG.
And yeah, on my IG.
Plug it.
You're gonna get those DMs.
Plug that IG.
People's DMs.
Unlike
my IG is hey_Fania, Fania. That's it.
Yeah, because I feel like you can find it through there, yeah.
So if you want more information, you can also DM Jess. You can slide into her DMs too, just like I did.
Yeah, straight up. Best slide ever.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Miami Community Fridge, Buddy System MIA, Out of Service MIA.
Yes.
Just let's get involved and all come together. Hope you ladies have a great weekend.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, anytime. I'm glad you were able. We made it work out somehow.
Yes, we did it.
Safe travels to you. Fadia, happy early birthday.
Happy
birthday. This is an early birthday celebration.
Birthday queen.
I'm
I got
legit. This is the first year that I'm really like celebrating.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
You should, especially with everything happening.
Yeah.
I feel like any little thing is a celebration these
So
days.
happy birthday to you as well.
Thank you.
My Virgo queens out here.
Let's go on a quick music break, and we'll be back with some more 305 Times Ungodly Hour. Chloe and Hayes.